All right, just got back from the Halloween screening of the 2018 version of Suspiria. Now, of course, did a couple trailer reactions to this, stated my claim that, just as Dario Argento himself said, this should not have been remade. However, I, as always, went into it with an open mind, hoping that I would be surprised. So, was I? Let's find out. Alright, so gotta let everybody know up front, this is gonna be a spoiler-filled review, so if you hadn't seen the movie yet, go check it out. Alright, here, so just to make sure we're on the same page, it structurally follows the original. So, you know, not to be confused, you basically have the story of a young girl going to a dance school where, you know, in the original Suspiria, something wacky is going on, and it might be, you know, supernaturally related. In this version, they just state from the beginning of the movie that it's witches. So, yeah, there's that. Alright, we start off with likes, and I got to give credit where it is due. I really, really do. This movie had a couple scenes in it that I actually really liked. The first one that I thought was very clever and very well done was basically the scene where you know, the lead, Dakota Johnson, is doing her dance, and as she's making the moves, it's actually affecting the woman down in the mirror room, sort of contorting her up into sort of a pretzel-like state. Very, very clever the way that was done, you know, with her moves affecting, you know, woohoo, what happens, and let's go back, there we go. And, you know, and then the sort of, you know, effects, the very practical effects of her contorting and having, you know, things popping out and breaking, that was very, very well done. Yeah, people are blowing me up wanting to know what I thought. I gotta watch the video. Okay, so, second, I have to say, without question, and we're dealing with a lot of stuff here, so without question, the final scene of the witch ritual was probably one of the greatest witch rituals ever filmed. It had everything a good witch ritual should have. A shit ton of blood and a shit ton of nudity. And admittedly, since we're dealing with witches, doesn't necessarily all have to be good nudity. And it wasn't. It made perfect sense. You know, they blended in the whole dance thing because obviously that's what the movie's about, but it was more that sequence. I mean, I could have taken that just out of the movie as a short on its own, and I would have been very, very happy. That was insanely well done. Yes, the blood was CGI, but it really wasn't bad. I mean, they put some money into this movie, and it showed. So I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed that. You know, those two scenes were really the standout, you know, from the movie. All right, it is dislikes time, and well, you know, short of them ripping off Suspiria, let's kind of get down in the nitty gritty. First and foremost, really bad direction choices. You know, it was trying to, at rare moments, be sort of artsy-fartsy, be like a throwback to the 70s, back to the original, like swish, you know, focus, you know, swish cameras, which are just terrible, terrible. Never ever do, like golden rule of filmmaking, you never do a swish pan with the camera, because then the audience knows it's the camera. I mean, yeah, it's just, duh. And then the other thing was that they, okay, in order, I suppose, to be more commercially viable, they spoon-fed the audience from the get-go. I mentioned it earlier. The first film, you had a very, you know, strong sense of dread and suspicion because you weren't exactly sure what was going on. Yes, it was heavily hinted at and everything else, but you kind of had to wait to the end before you got your whole witch confirmation. This starts off with witch, oh, it's witches. And then they had a whole subplot with the old guy, you know, Tilda Swinton in makeup. Yes, impressive makeup. but completely irrelevant to the movie. Okay, he was the witness, whatever. And more importantly, the movie should have ended with the triumphant celebration of evil at the end of the ritual, the witch ritual, instead of this little sappy pseudo love ending crap with the old man and his wife. Boring, pointless, useless. And you know, I also didn't like the fact that it wasn't really a horror movie. Yes, it had blood and guts, but the suspense was taken away. The artistic shots of you know, things that were going on in her mind or whatever else just weren't scary or frightening. Okay, yeah, it didn't have any jump cuts, but that's cool. You don't need jump cuts. They didn't really, you know, the first film really created a sense of dread and a sense of mystery. I'm coming. And, you know, that's all horrifying. And this did not. And you know, it's also, you know, a little, I mean, again, that last scene, that's horror. So, you know, someone had asked, you know, in fact, it was Marsha, does one scene a movie make? And of course the answer is no, it doesn't. It is better than no scenes, but it still does not a movie make. So just because you had this one horror scene doesn't mean you've made a horror movie. All right, it is Pinhead time. Only one vote on this one. Okay, so those two scenes that I mentioned in the likes were good enough to warrant not necessarily a pinhead each, but maybe half a pinhead in one and 1.5 for the other. So 2 pinheads. Again, this is not really a great horror movie for horror fans. It does have 1 or 2 scenes. If you want to see something really weird and have a couple good scenes, this definitely will qualify. Now, to me, it's not weird, but I mean, when I was walking out of the theater, people were saying, oh, it was really weird. So, real easy on that one. It's going to be a 2 pinhead movie. All right, so I suspect, I have my suspicions, that this will be a comment-filled situation, considering everything that we had from the trailer reaction. So, chime it in, boys and girls. Love it, hate it, like it, comment, do it all.